Hello, everyone, and welcome to Skaredcast. I'm Skari, your grateful host, and this is The Monday Show. This is a Patreon bonus show that I do every Monday where patrons submit questions, I answer them. We talk about a variety of things that matter to me in the Warhammer 40,000 hobby or in the gaming hobby, tabletop gaming hobby, war games hobby, and I talk about it with you. Of course, we have the chat going on where folks can ask questions real time. We've got all the questions that I've compiled that happen over the course of the week. And like today, every once in a while, I open up the Patreon bonus paywall vault. I know it sounds very pretentious, but I open the vault and I say, hey, this is kind of like what you're missing out. Now, of course, this goes without saying, but a huge shout out to the channel Patreons. The Denizen community is what allows me to do content full time. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's thanks to them that I literally get to do these videos. Battle reports, go to events, everything is fueled and funded by the Denizen community. So, if you'd like to support the channel, the link is in the description below. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive in. Now, as is tradition, I tend to wax on or wane on poetically on a tangent for about 10 minutes in this video, and then we get to the questions. So if you have any questions and you're tuning in, you can leave a comment down below and I'll answer the question later, or you can put it in the chat if you're watching live. It's a good opportunity for us to just kind of dive straight in and basically do stuff if you want. Yeah, so what has happened in the life of Skari in the last week or so? Well, I did win that GT, not this weekend, but last weekend. That was really fun. This weekend, I went to a wedding, and that was really fun. I got to put a suit on for the first time in a long time. Even went to buy a nice suit, so I looked good. At least I thought I looked good in the suit. My wife said I looked good in the suit, so that was good. And then I ended up, what did I do? I didn't get home till very, very late. And then on Sunday, I had a coaching game, which we ended up streaming on Twitch. Thank you, Vortex Games, for providing me with a stream setup so I could do that. They're awesome. They're sponsoring like the streams, basically. And then I ended up, so that was like a couple hours. Then I went on to a podcast with Adam Camilleri, and that was really fun. So anyway, we did like 2 hours of podcasting with Adam for Art of War Down Under. With great topic. We talked about off-meta, anti-meta lists for Warhammer 40,000. It's a very interesting topic, mainly because I guess that does sort of resonate a lot with me, like taking things that aren't necessarily run-of-the-mill meta stuff, and it makes me, I guess, uniquely qualified to talk about a con. Like, I take random crap all the time, underappreciated things that folks don't necessarily, think about when they're running lists, especially with, like, as a faction specialist, you can mix and match and do a variety of different things. And then from there, going after something cool and entertaining and fun and, things like that, which is really fun. Ian says, good day, it's always good to catch a live show. Awesome. Thanks a lot for coming to hang out. Really appreciate it. Huge shout out, of course, to Cosmic, who got first. Of course, he always looks out for the first Zinth, Hayden, Carl. Really appreciate you all for coming and hanging out with me today, which is really nice. Yeah, I like it too, which is really fun. Okay, so that's kind of what happened this weekend. And then on Sunday, I've been playing football, or soccer for all of you barbarians. Now, so every Sunday there is a pickup league. Just like you pay $60 and you can show up every Sunday, and it's like all the way until September. And it's like you show up, there's not like, you basically make teams when you get there. Like, they see how many people showed up, and usually there's like 2 to 3 teams that they make up, and they split us all in teams, and then we just rotate, 15 minutes on the pitch, or 15 off, whatever, and then you play like 2 times, and then you're off. You go on, you play, then the other team. Anyway, it's really fun, very entertaining. And last time I went was 2 weeks ago, before my GT, and first kick of the game, I like busted my leg. And then 2 seconds later, I busted my leg. My thighs just exploded because I haven't done sports or run around or anything like that in like 10 years. Okay? 10 years of I haven't kicked a ball around to play a game. And I'll tell you, it hurt. It really freaking hurt. And so I was limping for the better part of a week and a half. So going to football tomorrow, yesterday, I was like, okay, my legs, like, it's still tender on my thighs. Like, my muscle's still tender, but I've been stretching. I've been, like, making sure that I don't, like, overextend. I was like, I'm nervous to go out again because I don't want it to, like, instantly explode. And I was like, I want to make sure I warm up properly this time and not just, like, rush the warm up. So I, like, ran around more than I did before. I made sure I stretched more and did the proper stretch to kind of stretch the muscle that I pulled, or the two muscles that I pulled last time. I was like, okay, this time instead of like going all out 100% as soon as the ball gets kicked, I'm gonna like ease into it throughout the whole 2 hours of playing. Needless to say, my legs hurt again today, but I feel like I didn't injure myself. Like, I did overextend on a pass, and my like the tip of my toe scraped along the ground, which then like extended me even more, like, and so I pulled it a little bit, but it wasn't like crazy painful, which is good. It means that my muscles are like, oh, we're doing exercise again. This 40-year-old man wants to play footy. And there you have it. So that was my experience for Sunday, which then meant I had a shower, went to bed, and got up this morning, and I was like limping. I was like, and I like got up and went to the studio to film the next week's battle report and did a live stream again. Thank you to Vortex Games. And and the whole time I'm just sitting there playing. I'm like, I'm so tired. I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. Oh my gosh. Anyway, wait, Sports Bowl that's not Blood Bowl? Blood Bowl. Oh man. Anyway, it was really fun. I'm really excited about it. I also finished painting my skeleton regiment of 30 skeletons with my little spears and shields. And I put the pictures up, I think, on Instagram at some point. But they're all blue because it's more of a regal unit, like from the royal host, right? So when I take Cetra and chariots and tomb guard, I need to have like not the red and black of the mortuary cult, but I need blues and turquoises and of like the more royal hosty colors. They do also use red too, but still. And then, and I need to have like a distinct regiment. And I also needed a regiment with spears because I didn't own a skeleton spear unit, but now I do, which is really cool because I can have spear skeletons, I can have hand weapon shield skeletons for Warhammer the Old World. And that brings me to the next point in our little Monday show conversation, which is starting the July the 10th, June 10th, for a couple of weeks at least, I'm going to be at Mini Wargaming playing like 4 days a week for like 2 to 4 weeks. And because there's a lot of content that we need to make in that time. So they're essentially like getting me to come on board and do like a whole bunch of extra videos, which is awesome. Number one, I get to work in the Mini Wargaming studios, which is really fun. Number two, which is it's going to disrupt the schedule that I've created for my own content, which it means that if you're a coachee with me and you're getting coaching calls, if your like time fits into those slots, I'm gonna have to like reschedule calls, and B, Mondays the stream is gonna change because instead of being able to do the stream in the mornings from like 10:30 a.m. to like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm probably gonna have to stream from Mini Wargaming in the evenings, kind of like Steve does, the Mountain Steve. When he does his Old War streams. Very cool. So, needless to say, if you are in Ontario during that time, starting June 10th, and you want to come to Mini Wargaming to play a game in the evening on Mondays, that's June 10th, June the 17th, potentially the next week, I would love to do a stream, say 6-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Mini Wargaming. We could film a bat rep and do a live stream, potentially. So reach out to me, message, email, whatever, if you want to make the trek over, or double up. If you're already coming to Mini Wargaming, then play a game with me while I'm there, so that I can have a video to do for my channel. If not, I will have to figure something out. But I always figure something out. I tend to, you know, life kicks me down or gives me challenges, and I'm like, I have a bad tendency of just pretending that everything's fine and just moving forward, and then like you do that enough and it kind of just like pushes the ball forward a lot of the time. Anyway, Hayden says, I'd like to say it gets easier. Don't make me scared about doing sports, please. I like doing sports. I feel like it's going to get easier because my muscles, I will eat lots of protein, I will drink lots of water, I will get better, and then I will be able to outrun any 20-year-old. I believe that in my heart. Anyway, but there you go. See, about 10 minutes of rambling, which is great because this is the Monday show. By the way, Season 2, Episode 39. That means we did a whole Season 1. Then Season 2. The season ends around August, and I usually take a couple of weeks of holiday in August around when the World Team Championship is. I tend to go to the World Team Championship. This year I'm not going to the World Team Championship, but I'm probably going to take a holiday with family. I'm going to go to like the east coast of Canada, right? And like hang out at the beach and stuff, and maybe go whale watching and eat seafood and stuff. But I needed to like take a break from traveling and sort of invest time in family. And so I'm still going to take that holiday, but then I'll start Season 3 of the Monday show, the list crunch stuff. All that stuff is going to, it's going to be like just keeps on rolling, and more content to come. Okay, so let's dive in to the Patreon questions. Now, of course, if you're watching live, of course, you can post a question right now in chat. I will get to them. Of course, I will notice things like Super Chat's better. If you want this to be something that you could do every week, any Patreon can submit a question every single week, or a comment, or a topic to touch on, and I will break them all down. We have a Patreon Discord where there's a thread where people post questions, or on the direct Patreon page, I post up a post, and then people answer that and stuff as well. Oh, Ian, thank you so much for the gifted memberships. That is fantastic. That is very nice of you. Awesome. Hi, Kyle, Derek, and David. Enjoy your gifted memberships. Aw, thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you very, very much. That's awesome. My heart goes out to you. Thank you. Okay, let's dive into these questions. Luna asks, what is the worst combination of missions plus secondaries plus opponent you've had, and how did you overcome it? By opponent, I probably would like to say that you mean like matchup, not like person. Because that would be the worst combination was Billy. Billy was an asshole, and therefore the mission secondaries were the worst ever. So I'm assuming you mean like opponent as in like matchup, not specifically the person that I was playing against. Sure. So it depends on what army I'm playing. So a lot of the times, if you're playing, sorry, the green screen sometimes kicks out. I'm still figuring, like, I have to, I think, light it up a little bit better. So sometimes when you're looking at like combinations, missions, secondaries, that sort of thing, it's really about the sort of like style of specifically the army you're playing against. I play a very multiple small units Drukhari build, right? Or I tend to build armies that have multiple small units, mainly because I feel that is a very strong list building archetype for the current game of Warhammer 40,000. Having lots of units that can do things and be places, right? As for the killing aspect of the game, if you have lots of different things or lots of different sort of like units, right, that you can really focus on like killing something by having multiple units shoot at one thing and kill it and move on and stuff like that. So, in terms of missions and secondaries, usually it's a combination of deployment style and mission and secondary versus your matchup. So one of the toughest, right, is something like, I'll give you two examples. One which I did not overcome and one which I did overcome, okay? So, I played Supply Drop against Votan before they got nerfed, right? On a, like, Crucible of Battle, I think is what it was, or Table Quarters. So that was a mission that was like, okay, but they had like, this was before the Dark Eldar got their new detachment, right? So it was like a little tougher Dark Eldar back then. The mission was really tough because of the fact that my opponent went second and they had like 20 Terminators and like a billion little like transports with units inside, and then the Thunderkin with has like all the guns and like everything. And it was just like a really bad matchup for that mission because of the fact that if he went second, he would get last grabs onto the objective. Guess what? He got last grabs onto the objective, he went second. And instantly that mission became very, very tough. As for secondaries, you know, you pull the secondaries, you know, you play, if you play like an MSU build, it's easier to do secondaries. So secondaries I wasn't too worried about. However, how did I overcome it? I overcame this specific mission with a gambit. Now, a lot of you might say, hey, gambits are like, you know, a Hail Mary, but that's exactly what it was. I ended up winning that game because of the gambit. But it's not about doing the gambit, it's twofold. Number one, I had built my list with gambits in mind. So I had built the list with a specific ability to do gambits if it ever got in a dicey situation, to make sure I had enough units, or units that were fast enough to do things that I needed them to do to potentially do a gambit. The second part of that was being able to mathematically look at the board and look at the fact that I'm going to move, get onto these objectives, you're just going to push me off. I'm going to move, get on these, push me off. So in terms of primary scoring, at the end of turn 3, I looked at the board and go, turn 4, I kill these things to get onto these objectives, and then you just take me off. And then turn 5, I do it again, but I'm not on the objectives turn 5 because you pushed me off on turn 4. So I'm literally not scoring any more points. But you're going to be able to get onto the last objective and get all the points. So at that point, I was like, I need to gambit. If not, I'm just going to lose, right? And that's kind of where it went. Ended up getting the one with the table corners, ended up rolling the 9 plus or 10 plus or whatever it is you need to do for getting into every corner, and I ended up winning that game with a gambit. But it was about realizing the board state and understanding that. And on the flip side, there's another game that I played, which is on the War Games Live Patreon page at the Canhammer Team Tournament, where I played Devon and his 18 Wraith Canoptic Court with 18 Scarabs and 3 Catan, right? This is pre-point changes. And in that game, we're playing the Ritual. So that mission tends to be okay for Dark Eldar because you can make lots of objectives. But what happened was the game went south as soon as I committed to try kill a Catan, and the Catan passed every invulnerable save I had to make. And so the whole pace of the game flipped over, right? And he was able to get the Wraiths in my face and stop me from scoring primary. Now, in that game, I had lots of units left because I was playing keep away. However, what I should have done is gambit in that mission, but I was so tired and frazzled that weekend that it didn't, like, the 2 and 2 didn't connect in my brain until I was on the way back driving, like, in the car, and I was like, I should have gambited, right? And I still would have lost, but it at least would have, like, if it's successful, it would have lowered the differential score, and it wouldn't have been a 20-0. I would have gotten maybe 6 points out of it or something. Anyway, that is a couple of examples there, Luna. Ian says, any advice on playing an MSU army for Torment? Example, making sure you don't time out, even just deployment. Oh, for tournament? Yeah, so it's one of the reasons I built an MSU army with a couple of heavy-hitting, very expensive units. namely the Void Raven bombers. I was finding that with my other MSU army, I had lots of units, and it's a very powerful list, double beast pack, lots of little units and venoms, but I was finding that I was literally playing to like the last minute of the clock every single time. So the Void Raven bombers has done two things. Number one, they are very good into the current meta, into Marines, into Chaos stuff, but they also prevent folks from hiding behind, you know, the footprints of ruins because they use the old towering rule. But they have such firepower, they can really focus on a unit and like kill it, delete it, and then from that you can be like, okay, I found I had more time. So with that new list, I found it was MSU still, but I had less units, but it was still lots of small units. But I had two very heavy hitting hammer units that were like, I can delete your little tradey units. That makes my little units more efficient, and it just increases the pace of the game. So my games are like, I would table my opponent in 4 turns and have like an hour left at the end of the round, being like, what do I do with this newfound time? So that would be an example. Another advice is to just make sure you constantly play on a clock and to have a good understanding of the order of operations that you're doing things in. Like if you have lots of little guns and lots of units, you have to like, you can't dilly-dally. You have to kind of go, 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 right? And it takes discipline to do that, especially if you're running on a clock. As for deployment, just make sure you go back and forth on a clock, right? Have your unit ready, know where it's going to go, put your unit down, go boop, clock. And if you need more time in deployment, reserve a bunch of stuff, right? Just don't put it on the board. Just be like, you know what? I'm just going to reserve a bunch of stuff so I don't have to deploy it, right? And if in the essence of time, you could definitely do that, which works really well. Okay, on to the next question here. We have Carl's question. It says, I'm really trying to make pure coven work. I've definitely seen that. You've posted a few lists on the list crunch, especially with real space raiders, and you know that's the way that I would make coven work, to be honest, with sprinkled mercenaries. I have all the models. How would you approach a build for scoring? I know I've submitted several lists, but wanted to know what you would look for in a coven list. So, as weird as it sounds, one of the first things I added to a coven build was Kabalite Wars. I know. You can. It's just Kabalite Warriors are like so useful for me. I find that sticky objective mechanic to be incredibly powerful, and I absolutely love it, even in a coven list. So when I took, for example, a full coven build to like the Toronto Winter Open or whatever it was back in the day, I literally took during playtesting, I quickly found out I was like, I need at least 1 unit of Kabalites for scoring, so I can sticky my home objective, and then sticky objectives, and let all the coven essentially like run forward and just do things, right? And that was just really something that I really enjoyed, or whatever. So, so that was like, that's one of the main things. As for the other thing is make sure, like you did in a lot of the lists that you were building, you started splitting your rack units into multiple small units. So you kind of like have one big brick that you can run with Urien, one big brick that you can run with a regular homunculus, and then the rest of your racks are just 5s. I think that's excellent. Like 4 5s and 2 10s, because it gives you lots of little units to do mission stuff with, right? And of course, I would definitely still add Mandrakes, and I would definitely still add Scourge. Even though it's a Coven-centric build, having those fast, maneuverable, technical pieces that can shoot, move, shoot, move, uppy, downy with the Mandrakes, you know, it's all crucial parts of playing 10th edition, but then you can put it behind a wall of 18 Grotesques and 6 Talos, right? And that's where I think you have to find that balance. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's the balance that I would definitely find as well. But then, you know, that's, other than that, practice will make perfect. You know, I played 15 games with the Bombers before I went to a GT with it. And now I've played 20 games, 20 plus games with the Bombers, and I feel very comfortable with that list. I'm like, sure. So now what I've done is after 20 games, I've now sort of shifted to a different list, which is way tougher to play and probably terrible, but I'm having a lot of fun with the challenge of seeing if I can make it work, which is includes 20 Hellions and Razorwing jet fighters. Then again, I'm a glutton for punishment, and I might be mad, okay? But nobody follows me here because I'm, because I don't have ideas. Anyway. But yeah, Carl, I look forward to hearing more about it. Zint says, question, hypothetically, Games Workshop does Legends, the Beastmaster pack. How do you pivot in list building? Where would you look to take the list without scoring up so many wounds to move block with? Hellions, Razorwings, the Mad Lad. Yeah, I am mad. I'm crazy. But I've run 20 Hellions in the last, 6 games that I've played. But to answer your question, Zinth, the answer to that question is, who the hell knows? Because if they Legends the Beast Pack in a Codex, well, did they add a new unit? What are the points costs? Did they add special rules, take away special rules, add detachment rules? I don't know. For all you know, they might do a sneaky infiltration detachment, and everybody infiltrates, and then you don't need a Beast Pack. So it's I'm gonna use the Beast Pack for now. I love it. It's great. I'm not gonna worry about it until I need to worry about it, and when it does, I'll take a look at the rules I have access to and move on and do something with that. I do not care about the hypothetical because I can't do anything about it. Me wasting energy on what am I going to do if my beast pack goes away, it detracts from me using the beast pack right now to do what I need to do to play the game right now, right? And that's my philosophy behind it. Ian says, your current list that you've used with 2 bombers, any additional changes you're considering to make it even more efficient? No. The answer to that question is no. Every part of that list has been crafted meticulously over 20 plus games. If I take any part of that list out, the only thing I can take out to make the list different or better is a bomber. If you take one bomber out, you can put in another beast pack and another unit of Scourge. So you could do a hybrid build with 1 bomber, 2 beast packs, and 3 units of Scourge, which some folks might find easier to use than 2 bombers, right? However, I wanted the 2 bombers, and that is the whole point of the list. So taking any other element out sort of takes the whole army and changes it, right? So I would not make any changes to it, Ian. But if you wanted to, there are changes you can make. It just involves taking bombers out. And that's the change. On to the next question. Meadows asks, what do you think of what they've released for AOS 4th edition so far? Okay, let's talk some AOS real quick. Oh, and there went everybody watching this video. No, I'm just kidding. Look, AOS has been an interesting dynamic. I have never really collected an AOS army. Even though I've played a lot of Age of Sigmar, I tend to borrow an army from Mini Wargaming, or my son's Sylvaneth army. All of my skeletons were on round bases for Age of Sigmar because I used them as Soulblight Gravelords. However, now they've all been rebased to their true form of Tomb Kings for the old world. So, as for 4th edition so far, it seems pretty streamlined. I'm most excited about the terrain changes because it seems like terrain is going to have more of an impact than it ever has, which I'm very excited about. It also seems that the mission format is interesting. I do like the fact they kept the double turn, but they've sort of changed the politics of the double turn to be like, well, if I do take the double turn, I don't get to score my battle tactic. So the battle tactic combined with the primary missions, and something that AOS has always done very well is the missions add so much flavor to the game because you can have a very specific build, but the mission can completely screw with your build. So I hope that that's the case, as that remains the same. And they also have the different, they do the tournament seasons and stuff, so we'll really see if they kind of do that sort of thing in 4th AOS. But, and then, of course, the streamlining of the units and factions and, stuff like that. So far, I have a positive outlook. I will admit, I haven't been following it too closely. However, you will see me play lots of 4th edition Age of Sigmar because I will be playing a lot of it. So I will be able to give you a huge breakdown as soon as that's sort of stuff that comes out. So, James asks, planned shifts to engage with the upcoming Pariah Nexus cards. Well, there are no planned shifts yet because I haven't, the cards are not available, right? So I don't know what's coming. So that is not something I can really shift on yet. From the previews, the mission format seems to be relatively the same. I really like the secret mission mechanic that they previewed. That looks really cool. That's like way in Drukhari's alley, right? Like Drukhari love the secret mission mechanic. Like if I can score primary up to like 20 points and then keep my Archon and a Raider to be like really sneaky and like, or a Venom and jump out and just try and take your opponent's objective right at the end of the game to be like 20 points, that is cool. And I think Dark Eldar players will benefit greatly from that. So just saying, stay tuned for that sort of stuff, which I think will be great. Dorian says, assuming that orcs are here to stay, all I'm trying to place Razorwing Jet Fighter is to deal with orcs. Yeah. We know Battle Line is coming, says James. Yeah, but we don't really know in what capacity. They showed off one mission special rule for Battle Line. Then again, if the Battle Line mechanics are like interspersed into this sort of like mission special rule, and then they put out the Pariah Nexus Tournament Companion, and then put Chilling Rain on every mission, then the Battle Line thing is pointless, right? So it really just depends on like what mission combinations they do for tournament play, right? Because some events were like, yes, we'll draw cards and have like wacky missions, and some tournaments were like, no, we're just playing the Leviathan Tournament Mission Companion, which was Chilling Rain, Chilling Rain, Chilling Rain. Oh, hidden supplies. Ooh. Chilling Rain, Chilling Rain, Chilling Rain. So to be honest, like I don't think we can make a determination by that just yet. Now, once we have the cards in hand, we break them down, we see what the impact is, and then maybe there's a tournament companion for that. Then we can really see like how it's going to impact list building. As for Dark Eldar, I don't think that sort of change shifts the Dark Eldar list build too much. We have a ton of great battle line. Cavalite Warriors are fantastic. Racks are pretty decent. Witches are okay, and you see them almost in every list because of the fact that Lilith is in the lists most of the time. So I don't think it's going to change too much, right? So we'll see. We shall see. Servo Skulls is underplayed, says Dorian. I agree. I like Servo Skulls. Battle line affects my list designs, but maybe I should get over it. Okay, James. That's if it messes with your list designs, that's fine. I am a huge proponent of balanced list building. Like if you see my lists, I have a little bit of everything a lot of the time, because it makes it more edition proof. It makes it edition proof. It makes it codex proof. It makes it detachment proof. If I get used to playing with a variety of different things, yeah, I've been playing for almost 30 years. And every time I've built a list that has a lot of elements in it, and I get good with I might not pick the most efficient element, right? And might not take 3 of it. But because I've been using obscure elements and then finding how they combine into the general meta of the game, then a list changes or the meta shifts or whatever, and I have to make less tweaks, right? And I'm less impacted by points changes. I'm less impacted by codex creep. I'm less impacted by weapon option changes and things like that, or mission changes, right? I wish armies had balanced battle line choices. I take intercessors with my Marines. Their battle line, I take them. I take heavy intercessors with my Marines. Their battle line, I take them too. Even with Black Templars, right? Sisters have one choice. Yeah, but it's a good choice. Sisters are not bad. They're pretty decent. You split them with an immolator, get 2 little units. They're pretty decent at what they do, which is just sitting on an objective and trying to get you faith points, right? Or whatever it is. Every time I've played Sisters, I always ran at least 1 unit of Sisters, right? Nids have solid choices, yeah. Okay, moving on to the next question. Jim asks, hello, Skari. Happy Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day to you as well. Do you feel like we are reaching a tipping point with factions that now have multiple Codex attachments to choose from, and those left with launch detachment? Not really. I don't think it's a tipping point yet. What's funny is that in a lot of the codexes, the index detachment is still pretty viable, right? Which is funny, to say the least, you look at the orcs, like, people are all about Bully Boys and Green Tide, but, like, if you want a very versatile orc, like, list, you can take the War Clan or whatever it's called. That's the index detachment, and it's still pretty damn good. It's just people are all about the Bully Boys right now. But you just mark my words. You mark my words. So I don't think it's a really tipping point. I think it's just it's more of a jealousy thing. I am jealous that armies have so many detachments to pick from, and I don't. It makes me a little sad that I don't have. I have two detachments to pick from, and I like one of them. Yeah. So that's my main thing right there. War Horde. There we go. That's what it's called. Ian says, Dad, question. How did you find the time with kids? Haven't you? How did I find the time with kids? That's a great question, actually. I started my YouTube channel when my son was born because I had parental leave for 3 months and I didn't have time. I had so much time, I didn't know what to do. Early on with a baby, at least with our son, he slept a lot, ate a lot, pooped a lot, right? And did cry a lot, but and I was up during the night and stuff. But there were a lot of the times I'd be up and the baby was sleeping and my wife was sleeping because baby was sleeping, so they had to kind of sleep at the same time so she didn't go crazy. And I would I'd get up and do the night shift or whatever and things like that. But during the day I'd be I'm either cleaning or relaxing watching TV or something, and that's when I found time to hobby. Where I was like, oh, they're both sleeping, time to paint. And then I got really good at having a project on the go. And if I had 10 minutes, I'd be like, ooh, I've got 10 minutes of time. And I'd go down and put a little paint on the palette and just do one color on 10 Space Marines. Be like, yes, I got red on the bolters. And then the baby would wake up and I'd be like, okay, time to wash my brush and go. But it was I did it more in assembly lines. I found little pockets of time to do the hobby. As for playing the game, I just sacrificed sleep for playing games. I'd be like, I need to film a bat rep, so I'm not going to sleep because I need to bat rep. And that was more about the discipline of creating content versus healthy choices. Zint says, I think the Index was designed to be one of the best detachments in a faction on purpose. I agree. I think they kind of spoil us with a lot of faction detachments. Some of them have changed in the indexes to the Codex. Some have remained similar, but I do like having the choice, right? Having a choice is better than not having a choice as well. Trolley says, do you think the Codex will have more than 2 detachments? The Dark Eldar Codex? Yes. If anything, if I were to guess, I would say Witch detachment? Witch, that one. Coven detachment. The Kabbalite detachment seems to be the Sky Splinter, right? The Real Space Raid, right, which is all of them combined. And I think that would be the 4 that I would expect. If they decide to put a 5th one in there, I could see it being I would hope it's either an Inari Drukhari detachment or a Pirates detachment with Corsairs and stuff. Then gives Corsairs, I don't know, Battle Line or whatever, so he can use the really cool Corsair models and put them in Raiders and things like that. Oh, that would be amazing. So, should have at least 5, says James. Yeah, potentially. Pirates would be very fun. On to the next question. The Owl Duke says, hey, Scary, curious what your craziest court moment was this edition. I have great appreciation for this unit and really hope it doesn't go the way of the Dodo when the Codex drops. See, that's another unit that could just get Legends, is the Court. You got the snake guy, the little beastie dude with no eyes that smells things, the eye burst Medusa brain fruit thing, and the Lamian that's Poison Lady. Yeah, very cool. So, craziest core moment. Okay, there's a couple of really good ones. But I think one of my favorites is in Sky Splinter recently, dropping out of a raider, right, and then giving it the Skyborn Assault or whatever, so it gets sustained 2 on all the weapons, pain token for reroll hits, reroll wounds, splitting fire, putting a blaster into a truck, an orc truck, and a Dark Lance, I think, into a battle wagon, and rolling a 6 on the Dark Lance for 3 hits on the battle wagon, a 6 on the blaster for 3 hits on the truck and killing both with a single unit, and that was fabulous. That was amazing. And that's the kind of thing that the court does. The court has become one of the key damage dealing units in the codex, in the book, in the index, in my lists. And I used to think, oh, I need to run the 15, like 10 cabs, court, and an archon. I used to run the big brick. But now I found that it's actually more efficient to run 5 Cavalites with guns, with the court, and the archon in a raider. And that has been, in Sky Splinter specifically, fantastic. And the ability to get out, give a pain token, shoot a target, potentially kill it very efficiently a lot of times, even if it's a tough vehicle or something like that, and then charge something else, kill it, and then hop back into the raider in the same turn is wild. And then do it again next turn, and then do it again next turn. The more you do that, the more strong that unit is, which is great. Not to be negative, but I think Dark Eldar only get 4. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, Dark Eldar is not the most popular faction, right? So I don't think they'd get more than 4 detachments. And they're pretty much riding on the wall. Witch, Coven, Cabal, right? And a mix of all of them. Slith, stab, bite, and stare. Never fade them. Yeah. Slither, bite, stab, and stare. Slither, stab, bite, and stare. The Court of the Archon. That's right. From the Path of the Archon. You remember them dearly. Sin says, I just want them all to be fun to play. Chaos Space Marines should be the maximum standard for other factions. There's not a single detachment except the Cultist Horde that I don't want to try and think it's bad. Correct. Chaos Space Marines, awesome. I love it. You know, I think anything that has lots of options is good in this hobby. Slither! Got it. There you go, James. That's right. Slither, because he slithers. He's a snake, right? And last but not least, a Happy Brush asks, what are your most useful / needed essentials for when you attend an event? So what is in your go bag? That's a fantastic question. So things that Skari cannot live without when he goes to a tournament in his go bag. I have a little tin that has all my tokens. So wound markers, extra little orange small dice for whatever. I've got little markers. I've got pain tokens, battle shock tokens, a little the 3-inch widget, like a widget that's 3-inch, 2-inch, 1-inch, and 1/2 inch. That little widget, the tool I use probably the most, other than the measuring tape and dice. So that's one thing. Number 2, I always have my cards, my deck of cards for missions. I always have a chess clock in there. I always have objective markers. I always have extra dice because I do have Skari dice when I'm at events. So if people want to buy a set of dice, or if I want to give them out to people, I can. The people that come say hi and say, hey, I love your stuff. I'm like, cool, here's a dice, right? It's a little appreciation. So I always don't leave home without those. I also have Advil works really well. Water is incredibly useful. I don't always take a snack, but sometimes I wish I did. My cards, I always take my little index cards, right? Just so I can have a physical copy of the cards, even though they might not be up to date with the erratas and stuff. But, you have the app for that too if you need. Pen, paper, and that's pretty much it in my go bag. Oh, an extra measuring tape. A lot of times when I go to GT, I take a second measuring tape because I've seen it multiple times where you clip back your measuring tape, zip, pop, and then the little nib pops off your measuring tape, and then it goes, and then it's useless. So you have to get another measuring tape. The worst thing that happened in the middle of the game is you do that, pops in, breaks, and then you're like, may I borrow your measuring tape, my opponent? And that always feels kind of weird. But second measuring tape is always really, really good. And yeah, that's the essentials for Skari. I could go into a whole thing of pre-tournament rituals. The night before a tournament, I put my army on the table, I inspect it, make sure I go through my list again, make sure I have every model, I pack it all into my bag, I pack my case, I put my case in, I pack all my stuff in my go bag, I get now essential for me is my fold-up little trolley tray thing. Love it! I am a trolley man, and that little cart, the little push cart with the little it's like a shop cart basically for a garage shop or whatever. Love it. Fantastic. We'll never go to an event without that thing. It is great. And that's it. yeah, and then I kind of pack it all up and I'm ready. I try to get a good night's sleep and then get to the event. I say hi to people, but the first thing I do is I literally pull out my trolley, put all my models onto the trolley, make sure I clear the clutter, like my case goes either under the table or back in the car. I have all the stuff I need, water bottle. I just check out everything, and then I go around and look at tables and say hi to people and stuff like that. But I'm like ready to go to my first game. Boom, done. Water, snacks, yeah, water is very useful. In Dallas, my measuring tape broke at the end of day one in a tourney, says Dorian. I know, it is a thing. I coach people to play Warhammer 40,000 or AOS or whatever. As a coach, one of the things I end up having to teach people is bring an extra measuring tape and use a chess clock. Use a chess clock when you're playing at a tournament if you want to make sure your games end at a natural conclusion. It protects you and your opponent, because the last thing I want to hear is, I could have won that game if we would have finished it. That's the worst thing to hear. So, play on a clock so you finish your game, have an extra measuring tape, and drink lots of water. Okay. Scott says, yo, Scary, I had an exciting weekend, almost winning my first super major. Oh, Scott, congratulations. That's awesome. Lost on the top table final at BAO. That is exciting, right? What a blast this year's Bay Area Open. Hope you had a good weekend of Warhammer 2. Thanks. Congratulations, Scott. Going to the finals at BAO is no small feat. So well done. Hopefully that has inspired you to continue forward and get bigger and better as you can. Extra measuring tape. Got it. Okay, well, that is that. We're going to finish up the stream here. I wanted to once again say this video, this format, is a Patreon bonus video that I do for the Patreons over the Denizen community. They're the ones that fund everything that I do. So if you'd like to support the channel, $5 a month, $3 a month, $20 a month, or my coaching tier, which is $100 a month, the link is down in the description below. And you get access to the bonus Discord and more, as well as this video every single week as a bonus video, list crunch every Thursday, which you can submit an army list, and I literally read it and give you my thoughts to help you build a list, as well as continuing to help me pay for the studio, go to events, and help continue make content. So my heart goes out to all of you. Thanks for liking this video, sharing it, all that good stuff. You're all amazing, and I really, really appreciate all the support. And before we finish up, we say, August says, hi, Scary, do you play Warhammer 40,000 and TTS to test the list? I do. I play TTS very frequently. I am actually going to probably start recording my TTS games and posting them on the Patreon page, just because then I can discuss things as it's going on, and people like learning that way too, so that'd be really cool as well. Extra batteries for the chess clock, says James. Yeah, 100%. Dorian says, really weird here in Mexico, I have requests to use a clock in tourneys. Yeah, that makes sense. A veces, si no quieren usar un reloj, bueno, ojalá algún día será más normal para que se puedan acabar los juegos con suficiente tiempo, no? But, that's just how that goes. Okay, then. Other than that, folks, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really, really appreciate it. You're all amazing. And with that, I will catch you on the flip side. I've been Scary, your grateful host. Sign off until next time. Scary out. The Dark Kin.